G'day, mate. This is the Do and Teach Guy podcast. Quick disclaimer, everything I say is my opinion or interpretation only, and is based on my logic, research, and convictions. All scriptures are read from the New King James Version. So veg out and let's give it a bash. This is episode 5, and today we're finishing our 4-part mini-series on the end times. We're up to the second bowl. The second bowl is in Revelation 16, verse 3. Then the second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man, and every living creature in the sea died. This is where we start to see the need for the new earth. And since all the sea creatures are dead, they won't miss the oceans when they're gone. The third bowl. The third bowl in verse 4. Then the third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood. The water into blood thing is quite popular, probably because water represents life, since everyone is made of mostly water, and blood outside the body represents death. The fourth bowl. The fourth bowl from verse 8. Then the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and power was given to him to scorch men with fire. I don't quite know what to make of this. If I had to guess, I'd say a supercoronal mass ejection, or CME, could strip away a large portion of our atmosphere, letting through the sun's unfiltered radiation to burn everyone. I doubt the sun would actually get any hotter, and the Earth temperature probably wouldn't get that much hotter either. It's just that the radiation would scorch people's bare skin and cover it in boils in minutes. The fifth bowl. The fifth bowl from verse 10. Then the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues because of the pain. This one's any man's guess. Any person's guess. I don't have the foggiest idea of what this could mean. Maybe the bowl confuses the demons and they start attacking each other? Who knows? But hopefully God is doing some damage to the demons with this bowl. It's about time they got theirs. The sixth bowl. The sixth bowl from verse 12. Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings from the east might be prepared. These are possibly the 200 million getting ready to wipe out everyone left. The seventh bowl. The seventh bowl from verses 17 to 21. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings. And there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as has not occurred since men were on the earth. Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before God, to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found, and great hail from heaven fell upon men, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. Men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. I could break down all these things and guess each stage, like the hail being the size of basketballs, but at this point it doesn't really matter. This all spells the end of the earth and everyone in it. So this version of Earth is gonna need a reset. The New Jerusalem appears. Finally, the New Jerusalem comes down, or more likely materializes into this dimension from heaven, as stated in Revelation 21 verses 1 and 2. Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. The city is described in Revelation 21 verse 9 to Revelation 22 verse 5, but you can read through that yourself if you're interested. I'll just give you a few of the highlights. Revelation 21 verse 11. Having the glory of God, her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Verse 18. The construction of its walls were of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like clear glass. Verse 21. The 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each individual gate was of 1 pearl, and the streets of the city were pure gold, like transparent glass. It's a little bit unclear, but as far as I can tell, all of the walls of the city are made out of jasper. Jasper is a stone that comes in all colours of the rainbow and has splotches of different colours throughout it. So not only will the walls be super colourful, but they'll also have 12 different kinds of gemstones embedded in them. Also, these walls are highly polished with a glass finish. When it says that they're transparent, I think it means reflective, like a mirror, not actually see-through. Also, the entire floor seems to be made out of polished gold. I assume with the light of God shining brightly within the city, the angels at the 12 gates will need to hand out pairs of free sunnies because it'll be so bright. There are 12 gates, 3 on each side of the square base, but this is where I start getting confused. There must be some kind of translation error, or the measurements given are all metaphors. The only reason I think the measurements could be metaphorical is that they are all divisible by 12 and 1000, similar to the 144,000 saints. I don't think these are literal numbers. Let's read the verses and see. Revelation 21, verses 16 and 17. The city is laid out as a square. Its length is as great as its breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. Its length, breadth, and height are equal. Then he measured its walls, 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. A furlong is about 200 meters or 600 feet. That's 2,400 k's or 1,500 miles. And it says that its length, width, and height are equal. So I can understand the city being about the same size as America, but to be 260 times higher than the top of Mount Everest is pushing the imagination a bit too far. Something that size would affect the orbit and rotation of the Earth considerably. That also puts the gates at 800 k's or 500 miles apart. Not very accessible. Then there's the height of the walls. This is a little more believable. But it's still a bit suspicious that it's 144 units high. Divisible by 12 again. This puts the outer wall at about a 30-story building. Sidetrack. Why a pyramid? Why is the city not a Borg-shaped cube if its length, width, and height are the same? Well, the only reason I think that this is a pyramid is because all the cultures around the world build pyramids. I assume that the fallen angels saw the New Jerusalem in heaven, knew what it looked like, and wanted their human followers to make mini versions on Earth so that they can pretend to be mini gods like the Most High. Some other highlights are Revelation 21 verses 22 and 23. But I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city had no need for the sun or of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated it. The Lamb is its light. So God lights the city, but not the whole planet, so the sun and moon are still there and needed. Last of all is Revelation 22 verses 1 and 2. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. The leaves on the tree were for the healing of the nations. I assume that God's throne is at the top of the city and the water flows down from there. Maybe there'll be a moat at the bottom around the outer wall. That'd be pretty cool. Also, the tree of life makes its return and lives in the city. We read about this earlier on too. The Molten Earth. All of God's people are now in the city, and God unleashes his full glory over the world and burns it all up, like in 2 Peter 3 verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. This will effectively turn the planet into a molten sun-like blob that will kill off any remaining people that the 200 million angels missed. It will also erase all the trash, pollution, and destruction done by mankind over the last 7,000 years. While this is happening, everyone who had ever died, not including the people from the first resurrection, will be brought back to life in their new 2.0 bodies. This will likely take place just inside the new city at the 12 gates. There, the final judgment will take place. I think it will take place at the gates because in the law of God, that's where people are judged. In Revelation, it mentions that no sinful people will enter the city, but I think that just inside the gates is not considered inside the city. Just like in the Hebrew culture, where at sunset, it's not really considered part of either the previous or the next day, but is treated as its own little transitional state. The second resurrection. This judgment time starts with the second resurrection. See Revelation 20 verses 11 to 15. Then I saw a great white throne, and he who sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works, by the things which were written in the books. The sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. This passage is a summary of the whole event, so I doubt that everyone will be resurrected at the same time, and judged at the same time, and thrown in at the same time. If they were all brought back together, they'd have to be standing around for possibly years to wait their turn to be judged. It's more likely that people will be brought back in groups, or even one at a time. Also, instead of God himself judging them, I think that many angels will be doing the judging on God's behalf, probably multiple angels at each gate. That would speed up the process heaps. Anyway, that part's kind of irrelevant. So anyone not found in the book of life is chucked outside into the endless sea of molten fire that spans the whole earth. Out there will be lava and fire, but it's also God's sun-like glory that will be adding to the experience. Not particularly something I would look forward to. And not everyone in the second resurrection will be chucked out. Like I mentioned earlier, anyone who was born and died in the millennium, who decided to follow God with all their heart, will join the rest of God's people being safely hidden away in the city. My current theory is that the more sin you willingly commit during your life will determine how long you will have to endure the torture of the fire, like it suggests in Matthew 10 verse 15. Assuredly, I say to you, it will be more tolerable in the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. and Matthew 11 verse 22. But I say to you, it will be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon in the day of judgment than for you. So the likes of the Hitlers and such may take hours or even days to burn up, where the tribesmen in the middle of Whoop Whoop who tried to do what they believed was good might get burned up almost instantly. This is nowhere in the Bible, but there could be something like a queue system. So whoever committed the most and worst sins gets judged first. They are kept alive in the fire by God while the judging takes place. Then the next worst sinner goes in, then the next, until you get down to the person with the least infractions against them. Then God removes the life-sustaining element, and everyone dies naturally in a few seconds. All the bad angels, who have been very naughty for thousands of years, would obviously get the worst punishment. So if this queue system is right, they'll be chucked in first, starting with their boss. I assume that God will remove the ability for demons to travel between dimensions so they can't escape the flames, but more likely, when the city appears, there could be a permanent merging of heaven and earth, the spiritual dimension and the natural dimension being one again. So the demons won't be able to slip out of this reality to escape. However it happens, all the bad angels and all the people are burned up and cease to exist, deleted from conscious existence forevermore. Then God can go about fixing up the world again, Earth 2.0. There's a bunch of stuff to go through about people going to heaven and burning in hell for all eternity that I don't think the Bible supports. But all of that will be discussed in another episode. So once the world has been made again, it should be back to its very good state. Presumably, it will be back to the way it was before sin entered. Back when it was a giant worldwide garden, where it never rained, but the mist came up from the earth, whatever that meant. And since the Bible says that there'll be no more ocean, there'll be a lot more livable space. But don't worry, I'm pretty sure there'll still be plenty of rivers and lakes. The excess water may go back up into the clear ice dome around the Earth, if you believe that theory, which I talked about in the first episode. And if this excess water goes up into the sky, then there'll be no ice at the polar regions either. If this ice dome reappears, all the water from it could have been thrown up there from when the planet was a burning magma blob, like super evaporation or something. I don't know if that's a scientifically accurate thing that can happen. It's just one of my crazy thoughts. Effectively, we'll be back to square one, but this time no more sin and death. Now we get to the last chapter of the entire Bible, Revelation 22. This chapter goes into a little more detail about what the new world will be like, mainly verses 1 and 2, which we read earlier about the river and the trees in the city. This last chapter of Revelation can be a little confusing to some people, because the first half of the chapter is talking about the new earth, but later on in verses 14 and 15 it has sinners there. Blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates into the city. But outside are dogs and sorcerers, and sexually immoral, and murderers, and idolaters, and whoever loves and practices a lie. This can be explained in two ways. It's talking about the people who were thrown out of the city and burned up, because it doesn't say that they're still alive. The second and more likely explanation is that this is a prophecy and said before it happened. You see, from verse 6 onwards in chapter 22, the narration ended and the wrapping up section started. This is where Jesus is talking to John again with his final thoughts before the vision ends. Read through the chapter yourself and you'll see that the tone changes in verse 6. It's sort of Jesus' conclusion or summation of the events. That's it for now. I hope you're not as confused as I am. And now that you have the gist of it, why not watch or listen to all the mini-series again to help you get your head around my incoherent babblings? I'm sure it'll help clear things up. A bit. Maybe. There was a bunch of other stuff about future prophecies scattered throughout the Bible, but maybe I'll get around to going through those in another episode. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. I pray that your faith grows, but more importantly, that it's shown through your life and your actions. Catch ya.